All right, everybody. You would think that I had done this a million times last year, that I'd know how to work Zoom meetings. Just a little update. This was completely my fault that we're starting about 9 minutes late, so we're going to get right into it. Long story short, we have so many meetings scheduled up for this month that I mixed up the meeting links and sent out the wrong ones. So I apologize. I'm glad all of you that were in the previous room were able to make it here. But we're going to get started right away. And Miss Beth, I'm going to have you give an introduction to our guest tonight. And by the way, before I turn it over to Miss Beth, just to let you guys know, this is live. It's not pre-recorded, so technical difficulties can happen. Miss Beth, I'll let you take it away to give our introduction.
Well, thanks everybody for following us from one room to the other on Zoom, but glad that you all made it here. Thanks for joining us tonight. This is the first of a three-part series that takes place this month of January, and of course it's brought to you by Notary Stars. My name is Beth Hathoot, and tonight we're joined by Mr. Steve Bjorkman. And if you're wondering if I pronounced his name right, he said yes. That's right. Steve is the CEO and founder of Notary Gadget, the ultimate software for notaries. Steve founded the company over 10 years ago with a simple idea to create a simple accounting software for notaries. And that eventually evolved into a manage your entire business software. One of Notary Gadget's newest features is a built-in electronic journal. So before we get started, I want to ask all of you to please hold your questions until Steve has completed his presentation. We should all have plenty of time to answer all of your questions at the end. So just make notes, just so you don't forget what it was you wanted to ask. One quick announcement before we get started. At Notary Stars, we are pulling back the curtain and giving everyone a peek at what loan signing training looks like. And that's happening this Saturday, January 6th at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. We're hosting this free session and taking you through a split signing file. You do need to register for that event as well. And Ronnie should be posting that registration link in the chat for you today if you want to attend that, just to see how we roll at Notary Stars. Steve, just let me know when you're ready for questions, and Ronnie and I will be here to manage that for you as well as monitor the chat. So welcome, Steve. If you're ready, let's get this party started.
Sure. So thank you guys, first of all, for having me. I know it's late for you guys on the East Coast. That's where I'm at. I'm in Michigan, so it's a little over 8 o'clock here. So I appreciate all you guys taking some time out of your day to go through and check out what our newest product or portion of our product is. And I think, I'll try to make it really quick and just I'll kind of breeze through it, and you guys can ask a bunch of questions when we're done, and we'll go from there.
Perfect.
And just for me too, welcome back. I worked with you the last time you were here. Now it's more Beth doing the introductions, but thank you for coming back. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, no, it's great to see you too, Ronnie. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start off kind of by showing you guys the journal on the mobile app. So the journal part, the electronic journal part of Notary Gadget, it's built into the software. So it's not necessarily a standalone product. It's all part of the Notary Gadget package, if you will. So that's one of the big benefits of it, is it's not like you're using two different systems where you have one where hey, I'm using whatever software to manage my notaries, whether it's Excel or another, software, QuickBooks or something like that, to try to do your accounting in. Whereas Notary Gadget kind of has everything all included. So the idea being that when you've entered in a signing or you've imported a signing into Notary Gadget, that pulling up and using the journal is seamless because all your data is already there. So I'll kind of jump right in and show you guys. So what you do is you basically go to the signings page in Notary Gadget. For those of you who are Notary Gadget users, this all should look pretty familiar. So in here, once you have the journal activated, it's you'll see like a little journal icon. So you can either click on the signing and then click on it, or you can just go directly to the journal entry right from from those icons. And those icons are like alert, for those of you who don't have Notary Gadget, those icons are like, think of them as like a to-do list. So typically something will show up. So, about an hour after the signing, that one's going to automatically show up in orange and say, hey, this thing hasn't been done yet, something you're going to want to go ahead and do. So journal entries are really simple. It's very similar to a paper journal, just kind of a electronic sized, if that's a word. So you guys will kind of go through, you see, and you can actually watch a tutorial when you first go in, and it's going to basically go through and tell you just about the same thing that that I'm going to right now, but we'll sort of do it live here. So if there's an instance where a journal entry is not required, you can just tap here and then it will automatically kind of mark that task as completed because you didn't need a journal entry for it. But in most cases, you're going to go ahead and have a journal entry. You just click the plus sign, just like most apps. It's going to automatically pull in the date and time from the signing data that you already entered in, along with the address and everything else. If you needed to use the current time, you can do current time. If you wanted to use GPS location, you click use your current GPS and it'll pull up the GPS location. If for some reason you met at an address that was different than the signing location. And if you need a property county for those states where you have to do that, you can either type one in or you can click on like a favorites list. So these are like a list of favorites that I have set up, so you can create your own favorite list and that sort of thing. So I'll just pick one here. And then if you have a property grantee, you can put that in there as well. Notes, if you have any notes, when you're done, you just click next. Now, the first step is we're going to set up our signers. So it's going to automatically create the initial signer, which is, and even more than the initial, it'll create multiple signers if you've entered them in as part of your signing. So again, those of you who've used Notary Gadget know that part of entering and signing is putting in who the signer is. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to open up Bonnie Warner. That's my signer in this particular case. I'm going to click the edit button. So in here, I'm going to put in her address. Now, again, normally if this information was already inside of the signing, then it will automatically pull it in. Now, the big thing that is going to happen 90% of the time is you're going to scan the ID, the barcode on the signer's identification. And when you do that, it's going to pull in everything. So I don't have a way to mimic it here because this is like an offline system. I'm trying to mimic it on my laptop. So what would normally come up, it'll open up your camera and then you'd see this, and then you just hold your camera up to the back or the front of their ID card. Usually the back is where there's a barcode. It'll scan it, and when it does, it'll go through and it will pull in everything. So let's say that I did a like an ID card, right? It'll automatically pull in the type. If it was a driver's license, it'll say what state it was issued by. It would put in whatever the ID number. So normally, like I said, you wouldn't go through and enter this stuff in. This is normally stuff that you would enter. It's 2030. So normally this would all get pulled in just from you scanning it. So that's another nice thing about it too, is you're not sitting there trying to copy everything down. It scans it and you're done. Just click that you verified it. And then that person is now a signer for that journal entry. Now, if you needed to add another one, it's really simple. Another person, like let's say it was a husband-wife and the husband needed to be added in there. So we could click the plus sign. We could say, is it a witness or a signer? I'm going to go ahead and add a signer. And I can say, this is John Warner. And let's say it's the same 48 Candlish Road, ID type, do the same. So again, normally you would scan the person's ID and all this would come in, but I don't have a way to do it to show you guys that offline like this. But so I'm just going to kind of fill it in with whatever, say Florida, say issued, what did I say, 10, maybe it's till 10,034. And if you needed to, you can add a second ID. If there's a situation where you need the two IDs, you can add those both in there. So if you added that, oh, hold on, sorry, I'm in. Oh, give me one sec. I'm in a like a debugging mode. There you go. Sorry. So in there, you'll see you could add in the ID type 2 issued, blah, 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 blah. So I'll hit save, or oops. So I want to make sure I always say that I've verified the ID. So what a lot of notaries will do is, if you know who the signers are and everything, you'll do all of this before you ever even go into the signing, because then you have everything set up. You just scan their ID, say you verified it, and then you're done. So now that I have my signers in here, I'm just going to add whatever documents I have for the signing. And again, this is something that you can set up long before you ever even come to the appointment. And if I click add documents, it's going to come up with a list of all of the documents that are in what are called your master list of documents. So it's completely customizable. So if you have some kind of weird document that's not a normal one, we set you up with a big list of them, and then you can delete them, modify them, change them, do whatever you want to. And then what you'll do is you just go and click on whatever, like you'll go in and click on whatever document it is. When you do, it's going to automatically default to acknowledgement as the type, because 90% of the time that's the type. If you need to, you can pick it's a jurat or a copy certification, whatever it might be. You pick who the signers are on the document. Through, you just grab, I'm not going to bore you to death with grabbing a bunch of these, but it's really, really quick. That's the whole idea, is that it's super easy, super fast. When you're done, just click the back button. Yep, I'm going to save the changes I made. As you can see, it now has all of those documents, who the signers were on it. And then once you're ready to close out the journal entry, you just click this little signature up here. Going to click OK. And it's going to pull up a signature pad that you will see on your phone. And then you just hand it over to your person's phone, and they can sign away on it. Hit the next person, they sign away on it. Hit finish journal entry. And then it's going to even, for those of you who use Notary Gadget now, one of the big features of Notary Gadget is recording your notarial acts, and obviously the tax benefits of that are huge. But it'll automatically say yes. It's going to try to calculate how many notarial acts there were. This is a little off because I was messing around with a demo thing before, but basically it'll come in, tell me the number of notarial acts, hit save, and sorry, let me get this right here. Oh, because I had this one in here. Hit save, and it's going to record my notarial acts. Everything else is in there, and that is completed my journal entry for that particular signing. So now, if I want to, I'm going to switch over to the website real quick. And you can do the same thing inside the website too. I just use the mobile app because that's what most people will use while they're there. Now you can use it. You can do a signature. We just released that feature yesterday, actually, where you can now do it if you have like a laptop or something. You can use the touch screen on your laptop to do a signature. But same idea. But there is that same signing that I had. But now, as you see, you'll see the journal entry and the one in there. If I click on this, it's going to show me all of that same information. Obviously, a little bit different format because we're on a bigger screen. And if I wanted to print it out, it's going to automatically generate a PDF of the journal entry with everything inside of it, including the signatures of everyone, including the documents, so on and so forth. And that, in a nutshell, is the journal portion of Notary Gadget. So with that being said, I'd like to open it up to any questions any of you guys might have and do the best I can to answer them.
So if everyone will go ahead and raise your virtual hands, we've got a few questions that are in the chat, Steve, but
Okay.
if you get them to do a hand raise for us, then they can ask their question live and everyone can hear the answer. So
Okay, that sounds good.
we got the first one, Miss Susan. Susan, do you want to go ahead and unmute and ask your question?
Can you hear me?
You betcha.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Hello and Happy New
Hi.
Year, everybody. Can this be used when you have no Wi-Fi or cellular?
As of right now, no, you have to have a Wi-Fi signal for it. So it is not, it is something that we are planning on adding to it this year, is the ability to do it offline. It's a little bit more intricate because it's, like I said, it's not like a standalone product and that's all it is. It's all entirely part of Notary Gadget. And that means that we'd have to start worrying about how do we sync the rest of Notary Gadget. And that's a huge, huge undertaking. So at the moment, no, you have to have a cellular signal. Or some kind of data signal. Yeah. Cellular or Wi-Fi, either one. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Really good question. Thanks, Susan.
You're welcome.
How about Miss Carol? Would you like to unmute Carol and ask your question? Which, by the way, hello, Carol.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Hi, Carol.
Hello, Beth. I missed you guys.
Yeah.
I just wanted Happy New Year before I get too far. Can you use this electronic journal in lieu of a paper journal, or is this just for Ron?
Well, first of all, you're in Arizona. I'm sorry,
Right.
Steve, kind of jumped.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say this is a great question for you, Beth.
So you're in Arizona, Carol, so you can't use this electronic journal for traditional notarizations anyway.
So
But
I couldn't use it, eh? Boy, I guess I'll have
unless
to
you were-
move.
yeah, me too. Unless you are a Ron notary, you can use it for Ron, but understand many of the platforms that you subscribe to for your Ron work have their own electronic journals associated
Journals.
with that platform. So yes, yes and no for Arizona. So how's that for an answer?
Well, I'm not a Ron notary, so, but boy, God, that would make life so easy.
I
You
know.
know, I would just love to be able to use it. Even
So
if I used it and still wrote everything in a paper journal. You can't do that either, eh?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's quite interesting actually. I'll shed some light on it. So Beth and I actually had a interesting conversation about this earlier today too, right? Because everything's starting to go electronic, right? And we're starting to see, like even Beth, she would mention, like we're starting to see, especially with the advent of Ron signings, where now these states who are saying, okay, now you can do Ron signings, they're also saying, hey, now you can use an electronic journal, because obviously you can't use a paper journal when you're doing a Ron signing, right? Because there's no way for somebody to
Right.
physically sign it. So yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens over the next few years as things go more electronic than they ever have before. So, you still have some, somebody's probably going to ask this. So it's a great point, a great time to bring this up. That somebody's going to say, can I use this in California? So the problem with California for loan signings, I don't know if it might be in addition to loan signings as well, but I know for loan signings, they require a thumbprint scanner, and we are not integrated with any thumbprint scanner. So actually, if you are a Notary Gadget user and you have your state set as California, you won't even see the option come up in the software because we don't offer it for California for that reason. Now, how much longer is that going to be the case? Who knows? It could be another year, it could be 2 years, but I think eventually they're going to have to drop it because I guess you could do the same fingerprint scanner, but the problem you have with that is, okay, now you're relying on a third party to make a fingerprint scanner, and you're just hoping that they keep up their integrations with all of the cell phone, the Android and Apple, because they're constantly changing and coming out with new operating systems. And that's part of our theory on it too, is it's really difficult to build something for a fingerprint scanner and then hoping that they're going to keep their stuff up to date. Because the minute theirs isn't up to date, the new iOS comes out, everybody's like, oh yeah, suddenly, our app, our journal app won't work for you, and we look bad, not the fingerprint scanner. So anyway, some interesting insight or some conversation that we had on it.
So Arizona, just so you know, anybody who's in this session and they're from Arizona, here's what Arizona says. Arizona says if you're doing electronic notarizations, you can use an electronic journal. If you are doing paper or traditional notarizations, you have to have a paper journal. But there's also another law that hasn't been reconciled yet that says an Arizona notary cannot have more than one consecutive journal at a time. So if you're a Ron notary and you've got an electronic journal and you do general notary work that is traditional paper, you literally have two journals going at the same time, or multiple, because you might have multiple on different Ron platforms. So that little law is on the books. We kind of get to skate around that because when they did when they made legislation for Ron, they didn't change that little piece of law that says, hey, you can't have two at the same time. So we're kind of walking a really fine line here in Arizona until our new Secretary of State decides they can look at some of this stuff for us. So that's where we're at.
Would you mind unsharing the screen there just so we can get the full panel up there of any hands raised?
Yeah, sure.
Questions?
Okay,
There.
sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem.
You do have a couple of questions in the chat, and guys, I want to encourage you to raise your hand and ask those questions so that everybody has an opportunity to hear your question. They might have the same one, and also hear the answers. But Angela Parks got her hand up. Angela, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Oh, okay. I hope I didn't miss this, but for those of us with thick glasses, can we use our iPad instead of a phone?
Yeah, so the iPad, the mobile app itself is just built for phones. It's not built for apps or tablets. But what you would do is you'd use the website instead. So, and you'll actually get it's actually, I think it's a much prettier layout because you can see a lot more, right? Because you got a bigger screen. So it's just like I would show on the website, but it does, as of yesterday, it does have a signature pad and everything else on it. So anything that has a touch screen, so you can also use it on like a laptop that has a touch screen. So like my laptop's a touch screen as well, so you can use it either way.
Cool. My Lenovo's a touch screen.
Yep.
Sweet. Thanks.
Sure.
Well, thank you, Miss Angela. Nancy, hi Nancy, how are you?
Hold on. I'm good, thank you. When we take a picture of the ID, do you recommend it's better to take the back or the front?
It actually is not taking a picture of it, it's scanning the barcode of it. So what some users will do is I don't know if you saw them there, you can actually take a photo of the person. I probably skipped over that part. So you can actually take a photo of the person as well. So now you have a screenshot of the person and the information scanned from their IDs. Now, in some states, you're not even allowed to do that. Like you can't even take a picture of a person's ID. You're only allowed to record information from it and only certain information from their ID as well. So, but the software is set up to allow you to do either one. So let me show you something here.
That was going to be like the second part of my question. If you do the bar scan, does it pull up the picture that's on there?
No, it does not. It only does the here, let me add a quick one right here. Next. And if I come over here, I edit. So I can scan the ID barcode, or I could take a picture. So no, it will not pull up a picture of the person's license. And it doesn't even take a picture of it. It works just like a scanner does, like in a grocery store or anything else. Like you actually hold it up and it'll go deet, and it'll vibrate, and then it'll automatically close down and all the data gets filled out from it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Well, these are all awesome questions. And let's not forget, guys, that Notary Gadget is an accounting software. All of that info from those IDs flows into your accounting software with Notary Gadget.
Yeah, it's even more than that. It's why I say it originally started off as an accounting software. That was the idea. It was like, hey, QuickBooks is way too complicated. It's just designed to fit everybody's business, but we were like, we need something simpler than this. And it was a very specific way that notaries ran their businesses, and that was where the idea came from. But what ultimately ended up happening was all of our users were like, hey, I love what you've done. It'd be cool if we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. And then 10 years later, it is morphed into this kind of run your entire notary business. Now you're tracking when you're confirming your appointments, you're automatically importing your orders, you're, doing all of your accounting on it, you're sending invoices, you're, collecting your payment, or not collecting, but you're marking when you get your payment selected, you're doing this mass reporting on how much you're making on like average on each customer. And it's just so much more intricate than an accounting software now. So sorry about that. I just wanted to bring that up.
That's okay. It's an important feature for sure. Hey, Miss Lisa, would you like to unmute and ask your question tonight? I think Lisa's there. Lisa?
I'm here. Sorry, I had issues.
There you
I'm
go.
using my phone today, so I'm trying to undo my pic. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry. I actually have a non-electronic journal question because I've been a Notary Gadget user since I became a notary in 2015.
Awesome.
My question is, are you guys ever going to add or allow an option where we can put down more than just signings? So a lot of us are doing a whole bunch of other stuff like fingerprinting, inspections, all kinds of stuff, apostilles, and I want to be able to tag, you know, the job for whatever the service is.
Yeah, so what we say to do right now is you just create a separate customer and you call that customer, you know, fingerprinting or whatever. And then you use that as your customer, because usually it's for, well, I shouldn't say in that particular case, I think it might be for an individual customer, not for a company. But one of the big enhancements that's coming out next is you're actually going to be able to pick the different type of jobs. So we've got a pretty good idea of the top 3 or 4. And then when you do, the fields are going to kind of change based on those. And then you're right, you'll do like separate reporting for them and all that stuff. So a lot of it's already in the works. It's just, there's a couple other things ahead of it. But yes, it is coming.
That answer your question, Lisa?
Yes, sorry, a customer came in. Sorry about that. Yes, thank you.
See, we're getting all of our multitasking, all of our technical issues, all of that junk out of the way early in the year. So from here on out. All right, Carol Spencer, would you like to unmute? What's on your mind?
I was just a little confused because I thought it was an accounting software to keep track of your expenses and your income. And then you said it was a journal.
It is. That's the new.
Okay, so to my mind, no, I would be using the paper journal for everything I do paper. And if I was doing Ron, which I will eventually, but I'm not now, that would be kept electronically. I don't understand why there would be a difference between Ron and, or why there would be a difference. I mean, why would you want to create an electronic record for a, do you understand what I mean?
Carol, you're kind of breaking up, but tell me if I've got the gist of your question. You want to know, well, first of all, can you tell me what state you're in?
I'm in Washington.
Okay, so I'm thinking that you're trying to say your question is you're not doing Ron, you're just doing traditional paper notarizations, whether that's loan signing or general notary work. And why would you want an electronic journal if you're not doing Ron? Is that the question?
No, hang on, I'm typing it.
Okay. I think we must have lost her.
Well, I'm here.
There you go. She put it in the chat. Why would you keep track of paper transactions? So in Washington, you are required to keep a journal, right? Every notarization you do should be kept in a journal. So why would you keep a track of paper transactions in an electronic platform? Because it allows you portability. What do you think, Steve? Everything's moving digital anyway.
You mean like, why would you use an electronic one over a paper one?
Yes.
Oh, well, I would say off the top of my head, the biggest one is what happens if you lose your journal? Like, then you're kind of, you know, there's no like method of recovery for it. I think that's the biggest one, but
It's okay to say up the creek here. We understand that.
yeah, right? Like, yeah, I
know
think
that's what you wanted to say.
Yeah, that's the biggest one, but you know, I think it's that, and I think that if you're already a Notary Gadget user, it's really simple because your stuff's already there. Like, you guys probably, the demo that I gave you was probably the hardest you'll ever do to put a journal entry in. You know, normally you're going to pick up an ID, you're going to scan it done, pick up the next one ID, scan it done. You're not sitting here writing all this stuff out forever. You know, it's like go through, bam, 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 done. It's pretty quick. So I think some of it's speed, but I would say the biggest one is just, you know, it's the same reason as why don't we mail letters anymore, right? Like it's you know, you could do it, but it's just a much more, I think,
labor intensive process.
Yeah, and I don't know how labor intensive it is. I mean, there's certainly some, you know, some people argue, oh, there's some extra things you got to do with an electronic one, and I think you're right. I'm not necessarily. I think that what I would say is the biggest one is I'd be worried about losing it, somebody stealing it, something happening to it. So
Well, so yeah, everything's moving digitally. This is quicker. You're clicking a couple of buttons as opposed to journaling, writing in all of that information. You can click
Yeah.
on the documents and the signers, right? So it's quicker, it's less work, it's more portable. You've always got your phone or your tablet with you, right?
Yeah.
So, and all of that information integrates into the accounting software automatically.
yeah.
You're done. You can invoice from there.
Something else, and I won't, I know there's a lot of people with their hands up, so I'll go quick here, but there's something else that I think eventually, people are going to be forced to use them. And I'll tell you why, because it's really easy to forge a paper journal. It's like, you could go and you could do the signing and do all your stuff and then go back an hour later and completely change your journal. And there's no way to like validate that when it's electronic, assuming the system has integrity, which obviously ours does. Like, you can't go back and change the journal entry after you've made it in Notary Gadget. Like, once it's done, it's done. It's been signed and marked as signed. You cannot go back and change it, as you shouldn't be able to, because the signing has already taken place. So if you have a signer who then signs off on it, like, you shouldn't be able to go back and start making changes. Now, we all do make mistakes here and there, and then you could always do a new journal entry as an addendum or something to that, and then put in the notes that this was an addendum. I forgot to include X document, whatever. But I think eventually it's, like I said, I think it's going to have to go that way at some point, because, if we have another, I won't go down the rabbit hole too far, but if you look at like the great financial crisis, when things went wrong there, it was suddenly like the banks came back or borrowers came back and said, oh, hey, this document wasn't notarized right, or this wasn't done right, this doesn't run right. Okay, I'm off the hook. I don't have to pay anymore, So I think that was a big driver of a lot of this stuff, 10 years ago. So more than 10 years ago now.
Well, Steve, Ronnie had his hand up a couple of times. He took it down probably because he got a phone call and had to go do something, and he put it back up and then he took it down again. So let's see if he really has a question he wants to ask. Mr. Ronnie, are you there?
I do have a question. So when you were doing your presentation, I noticed that you could scan the ID, and then there was this little box at the bottom that says, I have verified the ID. And this is notary education here, because I am certain that you put it there because the technology may not read the entire ID correctly. And so you're asking the notary to say, I actually verified it. What is the percent of scanning that ID and it being correct? Should the notary be on autopilot that day, which we have all been, self-included? I started this meeting off wrong. So what would happen if it's scanned incorrectly? Is that going to protect Notary Gadget when they say, yes, I've inspected it? What is the percent of accuracy when they scan that ID? And when they click that, is that let Notary Gadget off the hook?
So the scan rate's 100%, and I'll tell you why, because it's not doing optical character recognition. So that's like optical character recognition is where you take a picture of something, anything, and then the software goes through and it tries to figure out the letters and words that are on a piece of paper and tries to translate those. And anybody who's ever tried that knows it's not 100%. What it does there is it's actually using a barcode reader. So either the barcode reads or it doesn't read. And whatever is encoded into that barcode is what's going to come through on it. Now, the reason that you have that checkbox in there is because what if somebody forged an ID, right? Like somebody took and put their picture on top of an ID that doesn't match their information, or even opposite, right? You put your information on the back of somebody else's picture. So there's always going to be that manual. And that's, to be honest, that's why a notary exists. That's why you exist, is to do exactly that, right? Is to verify they are in fact who they are. This just helps you get that data and to be able to compare it. So if you go in and this ID scans in something different than what it's supposed to be, I mean, that's what the human part of that checking procedure is. So but the scanning accuracy should be 100%, because it's going to pull whatever's encoded into the barcode, which means either the barcode reads or it doesn't read.
Yeah, we just had a fraud, how to spot a fake ID webinar that we presented November, early part of December last year. And that was a point that we were trying to train notaries on as well, is that if a fraudster is going to create a fake ID, they're not going to put as much effort into the back of the ID as they are the front. And if they can pass that front off to a notary, and that notary doesn't scan that barcode with either an app, a separate app that you can actually scan and read that barcode that tells you what's embedded in that code, you know, the name, the information that's on file with the DMV. If it doesn't match the front of that ID, then, you know, you're probably looking at a fake ID. And that's the beauty of being able to scan a barcode in your software.
And before we move on, thank you for that, Ms. Beth. Before we move on, I just want to make one other point here before we go to other questions. We have about 15 minutes left, and we hope to get to all the questions. Thank you guys for all the questions. I know that you're appreciative of them too, but I'm posting in the chat now, and I've been posting it throughout. Notary Gadget's been here before, and they've been on our website for 2-3 years now, and they are a big staple in the notary community, and we have a presentation about their software. We'd love to invite you back to come and do the entire software. Now's the point that I'm going to get everything in that I can, because I'm going to stop talking and let everybody else talk. But I sent you a friend request on LinkedIn just now. I tried it a long time ago, never got it. So out of all the notaries I'm connected to, we're only connected to 4. So get me in there. I'd like to be connected on LinkedIn so I can like what you're posting and stay abreast on what you're posting, because I know that's the business platform. I'm going to post in the chat right now our previous, it's a link to our previous session for accounting for notaries, where Notary Gadget came in, and you can see all about the software, not just the Notary Journal. Tonight's really about the Notary Journal, which we appreciate. But I want to make sure that you understand that there's, you know, a whole company over there that's been available to notaries. And I know you've been a part of the notary community for quite some time now. And I just want to make sure that people see that you have a whole presentation on the entire software as well. And I wanted to do that at the height of our users. I think we had 125 tune in tonight, which is great because we had 200 and something register, which, you know, rule of 50. But I want to make sure if you're able to locate the chat, there is a post in there. And if you're watching the replay, I will post the link to that previous session as well, so you can see the full software, not just the Notary Journal. And then, Ms. Beth, we can go back to questions now as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Ronnie. Yeah, I'll make sure I'll make sure I accept it. I have my notifications turned off because I get spammed with like a million.
Yeah, me too.
Trying to do it all the time.
All righty, D'Angela Williams, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Yes. Hello. Happy
Hi.
New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
I've been using your software since I started 3 years ago, and I pay my membership yearly. Is the journal an additional fee? Because after watching this, I want to switch to this journal, and I'm from Maryland.
Okay. So yes, it is an additional fee. It's $2.95 per month to add it on to your subscription. And the same works just like the Notary Gadget subscription. You get 15 free, so try it out for 15. And if you like it after that, then you can pay for it. If not, then you can just deactivate it, and you won't get charged until you say, yes, I do in fact want to pay, and then you'll select it, and you can pay either yearly or you can do. So actually, if you do it yearly, since you're on the yearly plan, which is what you'll probably end up doing, it's only $29.95 per year if you do the yearly plan. And it's prorated, so it'll match up with whatever your current subscription is. So if your subscription ends in 3 months, we just prorate it, and then it'll just renew with your normal subscription.
Okay, cool, great. Tomorrow I'll join.
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's a lot cheaper than a Notary Journal every month for a busy notary.
Yeah.
I've heard that one a few times. He's like one of the guys that I've kept in close contact. He helped do a lot of the beta testing, and he's like, "You've probably saved me like $200 a year just in journals."
Exactly. Siobhan, I hope I said that right. Siobhan, would you like to ask your question?
You did. You said it correctly. Hello, Happy New Year. Thank you for presenting this, but I had a question. With the scanning of the driver ID, some people in Arizona have had their licenses. We get our licenses and you keep it till you're 65. So
I have
when
one.
they-
Yeah.
I lived in
When they-
Arizona for 10 years. Yeah, I still have one.
But when they scan it, sometimes that information doesn't come with the barcode. So is there a flag that we can see when we're scanning? Because that would differentiate between what's fake and what's real, but old.
There's not a flag that we have built into the software for that. I can tell you, I tested it on my ID. It was one of the obviously the initial testing IDs that we did, and it works on mine for sure. So the barcoding is a little different on the newer IDs than the old ones, but mine does scan. So you can try yours if you check it out or whatever. You should be able to test yours on it. So if you got one of the old ones.
She's probably got a really, really old one, huh, Siobhan?
Yeah, I have mine from 2005.
Yeah, that's actually when I got mine.
So
Oh,
those
2004.
probably,
Sorry, mine was
those
04.
yeah, those probably have the magnetic strip on it, but don't have the barcode. That's why you're not getting a scan on those old ones. They have magnetic strips, but they don't have barcodes.
I thought mine had a
Just worry about people going on autopilot and not seeing the flag that something's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's training and good habits for notaries. They just need to develop that routine. So yeah. But it's good you're looking at that. Heather McLaughlin, go ahead and tell us what's on your mind.
Hello.
Hi.
I am currently in Florida, and I just had a quick question. I'm currently a user of Notary Gadget. I really love
Great.
it. Been doing this for about 2 years, and getting more momentum this year than I have the year prior, which is great.
Good.
My question is, a lot of signing services will ask for a photocopy of the ID. And I think it's great that we have the barcode because again, it protects us on errors and omissions, but is there a way like if we took a picture of the ID through the app, is there a way to convert that to a PDF and upload it to a platform if a signing service requests it?
The only way you could do it is you would instead of taking a picture of the person, you would take a picture of their ID, or I guess you could have them hold their ID up next to their face and do it.
Right.
And then you could print off the journal entry, which would be the full journal entry, and you could upload that because that is a PDF.
Okay.
That's probably the closest way I could think of doing it. One of the things another enhancement that we're talking about this year is having the ability for you to add photos and documents and upload things for a particular signing. Originally, we never did that because we were afraid of people uploading loan documents, and you're not supposed to do that. So almost every signing company and every real estate company you talk to is not going to want the loan documents anywhere other than on their servers. So that's why we were always reluctant to do that. But obviously we're storing tons of data now, and you can upload receipts, and as you guys don't know, it'll like if you take a picture of like a Walmart receipt, like our thing, we talked about this whole optical character recognition. That's what we used when we scan a receipt inside the app to actually pull all the data from the receipt for your accounting stuff. So it is in the works. It's something that we have been considering. So that might actually help, because we have heard that from a lot of people that the signing companies or whomever wants, hey, a picture of the ID or a picture of this or what have you. So, but that would technically work though. It will have the picture of whatever you took on the journal entry.
Oh, so I can print it to a PDF and just upload it that way.
Yeah, if I'll show you this real quick. So when I come back here, this is actually a PDF. So if you saw,
oh, you're not sharing anymore, Steve. So
oh, sorry, hold on. Oh, that's right, I got it. Sorry, wrong button. Okay. So when you guys saw this, when I was on the website and I clicked print, so this is actually a PDF that it's generating. So if there was a picture, there would be a picture of the person right here. So you could technically upload the whole journal entry if you that would be the only way to do it for us anyway, to use it, but you'd have to give
I think it would cover both bases. I think that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Now you can show it. Yeah, you actually have a journal entry, which is is a good thing. But yeah, if you're looking at your whatever it is over here, sorry, I got all the things up. But yeah, over here you can just download the PDF and then you can upload it into their server.
Perfect. All right, guys, we have 6 hands raised right now. We're probably going to cut it off right there, guys. If you got your hands raised, leave them up. We're going to get to them before we quit. We got started a little bit late, Steve, so we're going to run a little bit late, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep, I got time, so no
All
rush
right.
on my end.
Perfect. Melanie, I think, had a couple of questions in the chat, so she might have a couple of verbal questions for us if they're still not answered. Go ahead, Melanie.
I always have lots of questions. Tell us about long-term storage and our responsibility, your responsibility. How does that work?
So we store everything. As long as you are a paying user, you're stored. And then after that, we store everything. When your account goes inactive, we store everything for a year. This includes Notary Gadget overall, all of your data, whether it's the journal or not. If your account goes inactive before a year or after a year, then we'll delete your data. But if you want, you can pay for a data storage fee and we'll hold it for 10 years. And the data storage fee, I think, is $25 or $29. I can't remember how much it is, but something like that. And we'll hold everything for 10 years, which includes everything. Your entire Notary Gadget profile is essentially there and you can access it and do everything. You just can't make any changes to it. That's all.
And I'm texting with a friend during this time as well. Any concern with you losing that data and not being backed up? It's not being able to.
No. We have dual redundancy servers and we back up to two separate locations every night.
Okay. Last question. I'm already a user. I'm in Texas. I don't see it on my app. Does that mean that Texas doesn't allow it?
Texas. There was something. I think there's something with Texas. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I went through each of the states. I just remember California was a big one. I think I saw Texas. You were allowed to. If you click on any signing, you should see. I'll just do this real quick. If you click on any signing inside of Notary Gadget, you will see this right here. You'll see journal.
Yeah, I don't have that.
You don't have that. Okay. Send an email to support if you could, or just submit it through the best way to do it is from inside of your account, hit the question mark and then ask a question and just submit it through there and just say, hey, I can't see the journal. I'm in Texas. Can you tell me why? And then we'll respond to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, sure.
You have a comment in the chat from Carmen Hunt. He just says, thank you, Steve, for helping me get back online so fast last night. I absolutely love your software.
Thank you.
Brought that kudos out there.
All right. That was actually us releasing the signature pad for desktop version last night. When we did it, we occasionally do something stupid, and that was a stupid one. We did it and we broke something else in the process, so we had to fix it. But yeah.
Okay. All righty. Lee Invests. I think we're ready for you now, if you're ready to ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Leah, by the way.
Yes, okay.
Happy New Year, everybody. It's just a quick question to follow up in regards to the scanning of the ID. I was wondering if you guys, if the scanner also works on other forms of ID, like a passport or a green card or anything like that.
The passport, it doesn't work because the ID, actually that barcode that's on the bottom of a passport actually doesn't have the passport information in it.
Okay.
We learned that one the hard way. Now there is another form that we're planning on working on later this year, and that's so if you ever look at the numbers that are on the bottom of a passport, it's called something called a MICR, M-I-C-R. And it's like the old typewriter. They use it on the bottom. Have you ever looked at the bottom of a check that has the same kind of font? That's called a MICR font. So what it's designed to be is scanned by a MICR scanner, which is what checks use, or checks still do get scanned by. I'm not sure if they probably don't use those anymore. They probably use optical recognition with computers because it's going to be faster. But that's essentially the way that what we'll do to try to read that, because none of that information that you see, like their address and all that, none of that is barcoded in, or none of that information is actually inside of that barcode.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Question. Tamika Harris. Go ahead and ask your question, Tamika.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that I love what you guys are doing and make everything such a convenience. I love the import feature. that imports the jobs that you automatically get. So that's helpful. And then it helps you
Great.
keep track of your signings and who still needs to pay you and things like that.
Yeah.
So everything's
Great.
really automated and it really helps.
Oh, good.
Well,
Glad to hear that.
my first question was about the storage, which was already asked, but then is there a limit to how many entries we can have stored?
Nope. No limit, no storage limits, no limits at all. And we don't have any limits on Notary Gadget at all. Same with the receipts. Doesn't matter. We don't charge you extra.
Okay. Well, thank you for everything.
Sure. Glad to hear you're happy with it.
Thank you, Tamika. Joseph Haskins. Hey, Joseph, how are you? Oh, can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go.
All right. Hey, thank you guys very much. And thank you for this presentation. Notary Gadget has been a lifesaver, as I'm sure many others have expressed. So, but my question, several of my questions have been asked and answered. But the one question I have is just revisiting the need for Wi-Fi. So help me understand just kind of, are you going into your mobile hotspot, or are you tapping into the Wi-Fi of your client's location, or how do you best do that with the most efficiency?
Any which way you can. So if you're using the mobile app, you should have a data signal. If you don't have a data signal there, your Wi-Fi, your mobile hotspot won't have it either, because it just runs off your cellular signal. So if you don't have those, then you would try to tap into either your the person's Wi-Fi, which almost everywhere has Wi-Fi now, obviously. But that's what I would do. I would always start with my phone first. But if it's not working on your phone, that means your phone doesn't have a data signal, right? So if that doesn't work, then I would ask to use the person's Wi-Fi, or if you're in a Starbucks or something like that, then use their Wi-Fi or whatever. But if you're in a Starbucks, you probably have data signal. So maybe if I know like some people who are in like one of the guys I talk to a lot does a lot of work in New York City, and the problem they get there is because you're under 25, well, say 100 stories of concrete, right? So they get data signal problems. But I forgot what he said. He said there was some way that he found to work around it. So I think New York City was starting to do their own intra network or something where you could connect to anything. So yeah, usually it's way out in the middle of nowhere. You have a problem, but then I would say connect to a user's assigner's Wi-Fi wherever you're at is what I would say is the best approach.
That's very helpful. And I know that in Indiana, journals are optional. So I would just, I'm going to try, based upon this presentation, I'm going to tap into the 15 free that are there. But I could also see just kind of having my paper journal as a backup in the event that worse comes to worse and I can't get get logged in, because typically with my paper journal, I don't have a need to have Wi-Fi at my client's facility because everything is happening, when I get back to my car. So, but I do have the ability to scan and print and everything in my car. But if I need that Wi-Fi at that moment, I don't have it. That's why I was just a little bit skittish, like, okay. And of course, it's always hard to let go of paper, but I'm a guy too, that I was the last one to get a CD. I held on to the cassette, I held on to my VHS tape
I remember
as long as I could. And I still remember when I was like, I got my first DVD and I was like, oh my God, you mean I don't have to rewind this thing before I take it back to the video store? Why didn't you tell me sooner?
Right. Making mixtapes got a little easier, right?
Exactly. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Well, I have a question as well.
Sure.
I have a quick question. Would you be willing to come back and give us a full presentation on your accounting portion of your software?
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to. Yeah, would absolutely love to. Yep.
Awesome.
We would love that too. It's been quite a while, and tonight was great to learn about the electronic journal portion.
Yeah.
But I know that I read the emails when they come out. I know you've had some updates and things that have come out since we have on our resource center. So it would be nice to have you back later in the year just to kind of make sure we know about all the updates to your software.
Yeah, I don't even think the mobile app was out when the last time we did it either. And that was, as a lot of people said, that was a big game changer for them, was the ease of use of doing everything on your phone. So, it's 6-in-1. Some people like doing everything on their computer, and some people like doing it on their app, but in all reality, it's really a hybrid of the two, right? When you're on the go, you're doing everything on your app, you're taking pictures of receipts, logging your expenses, like that kind of stuff is so easy to do with the phone. And then obviously managing your signings, like, oh, hey, I need to go, where am I going? Cool, hit map it. Or like one of the cool features, I'll leave you guys with this, is like automatically sending a text from your phone. You can set up like text templates. So now you're not like typing out the same text over and over. You can be like, oh, text the user and use this template, and it fills it in and hit send. You know, it's like that kind of stuff. As some of the other users said, it's that automation that just starts to really add up, especially when you're busy. When you're doing 1 or 2 signings a month, yeah, it's probably not a big deal. It's pretty easy to manage. But once you start to get busy, like those little, so I always say it, the cracks become crevices, and that's what, you know, you end up getting bogged down in. So, and that's what Notary Gadget's there to help with. So
We know.
but yeah, would love to.
We know a little bit about those cracks becoming
Yeah.
crevices and
I bet.
rabbit holes. Joseph, you still have your hand up. Did you have another question or comment?
I do not. Thank you very much. I'll put that hand down.
Okay, perfect. Listen, guys, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. Thank you all for being here, and thank you, Steve, for coming and giving us this presentation. There was enough energy in this room to power the Superdome. We were on fire. That was awesome. Let me just remind everybody one more time, we have free open house loan signing training this Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard. What is that? 11, 12, 1, 2 p.m. I had to count on my fingers. 2 p.m. Eastern time. And Ronnie should be putting the link in the chat. Again, you must register for this class and just come in and see what it is we do at Notary Stars, how we do very granular deep dive training on just about every loan signing package under the sun. We don't do the high level overview just to get you by. We're not a point and sign training company. We teach you about those loan documents. So come on over on Saturday and see how we do it. We're going to look at a split signing file, which kind of will encompass a few things for you there, but we'd love to have you come in. Joseph says, how do I get my star? Ronnie?
Our website, go to notarystars.com and scroll down. You'll see all the products that we have available. I see a lot of people have them on tonight and in the background. One more thing, I am posting one more time. If you didn't see the last time Notary Gadget was on, I'm posting that as the final link. If you scroll up, you'll see the link to our training, but I want to make sure that Notary Gadget gets the last word because they spent all this time with us tonight. And the stars, if you're looking to get your notary star that shines in the background just like this, this is we have proclaimed this off Amazon. I'm sure the manufacturer is like, what the hell did you do? But we have proclaimed it as our notary star, so your light can shine bright when we're in these meetings. I want to ask everybody to turn on their cameras, even if you're half naked, as long as you're not naked. If you're half naked, that's okay. If you're stuffing your face with a sandwich, that's okay. But, you know, Notary Gadget came in tonight and, you know, they are a friend of Notary Stars. They've been here a long time on our website. We promote them as one of the accounting softwares that's good for you. And we love to make our guests feel welcome when they come into our circle. So I'd like to ask for all of you to turn on your cameras. I see them lighting up, so I appreciate that. You know, if you're naked or, you know, in mid-bite right now, that's okay. But if you're not, turn on those cameras and let's give our signature wave to Notary Gadget. Thank them for coming.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you having me. It was
Make them feel welcome for coming back. I don't know if you remember this from the last time, but we like to
love it.
We like to wave to our guests. We like to wave to our future selves, our future notaries that are going to come in and learn about you. And Miss Beth, how do we really say it here at Notary Stars?
We just want to remind you to be kind to your fellow notaries and really to anybody, guys. We're all in the same storm, but we're not all in the same boat. Some of us have canoes, some of us have yachts, others of us are just dog paddling. So just remember to reach back and grab the hand of that notary next to you and take them along your journey with you. Have a good evening, guys.
Thanks, Steve.
Good night, you guys.
Good night.
Thanks again for having me. Bye.
Thank you, Steve.